Lucky Boys Podcast.
We shouldn't have to show and prove like our Americanness, that we belong in our country. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that we're invisible in our country. So who's going to shine a light on that? Who's going to show that? You're going to expect white people, black people, brown people to do that for us? We have to do this.
That was the exact argument that I had with Kenny.
Yeah.
Where I felt like, look, no one's going to come and help you unless you help yourself first.
Yeah.
And that was part of the Black Lives movement.
Yeah.
The black people, they've been screaming about this for decades.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that most of us are finally listening. Mm-hmm. And we're joining the cause.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at your T-shirt, it says, for those of you listening, Lex is wearing an Asian for Black Lives.
Yeah.
And now, what's your reason? Why are you standing for that? Why are you there at the protest?
Well, since the protest started, I saw different Asians throughout, the protests, and seeing different groups come out in support of Black Lives Matter, right? And the Asian community is kind of like split down the middle about whether to support like Black Lives Matter or like why should we? Because when we were going through our racism and xenophobia during the coronavirus, mm-hmm. right? One, felt like we didn't receive any sympathy. Instead, we got mocked more. Beat up, like picked on. So we were picked on, beat up, and mostly and the violence that we got was mostly by black and brown folks. Right. So and then
at least the ones that were recorded that's being put out there on social media.
Yeah. The most that we saw, was from black and brown folks. Right. And then and also like when we expressed our grievances, we had a lot from, black and brown communities that, oh, y'all deserve it. You never stood up for us, this and that.
Right. I've heard that.
So people were like,
now
hesitant.
You know what it feels like to be one of us.
Yeah. Now you know what it feels like. Yeah. But meanwhile, we've been going through our struggles for decades, mm-hmm. and, we've been, abused and whatever, but we're just not vocal enough. That's why I hate the model minority myth. And you're right. That's exactly it. We're not vocal enough. So then, since we're not vocal enough, everybody else gets to tell a story on what it's like to be Asian, and they're not Asian. Yeah.
That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, because
all Asians do well. How come Asian immigrants are able to come to this America and then be one of the highest?
Yeah, but that's how we're used in systematic.
And that's completely
racism.
incorrect.
Yeah,
I can tell you that's 100% false.
Yeah, especially in New York, right? The Chinese community occupies the bottom 10% of the economic scale.
Right.
Right.
That's no surprise to me.
Yeah. Because you from the hood.
That said, so we're still here. Us three. As Asian Americans, we're still here going, yo, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, so because I had a lot of, I guess, things stories I've heard about us involved with the civil rights movement. But what opened my eyes much more was watching Asian Americans on PBS, that 5-hour series, right? And it gave a clear picture of it kind of just only scratched the surface.
That's the title of the show on PBS. It's called Asian Americans.
Yeah,
it's a 5-hour series.
5-hour. Yeah, it was broken up into like 2 or 3 parts. And so there I learned blacks and Asians have been historically fought side by side for many of the civil rights that we enjoy today. Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people don't know. Asians and blacks don't know that.
Yeah.
That our history
are interconnected.
Yeah, we
were also slaves.
We
supported one another.
Yeah.
And if you look at us, I even think a lot of Asian and blacks look alike. You take out the skin tone.
Hell yeah.
Take out the skin tone, our cheekbones, our nose. Mm-hmm, we have a lot of the same features. Mm-hmm, I joke, but my friends used to joke all the time when I was growing up with them, and they were like, Will, he's black. Will's black. Look at him. We put.
It's also the way you talk from the hood,
right. The way I play basketball.
The
way I'm actually bad at math. They're like, oh yeah, Will, Will's like one of us, And then one of my black friends, my black roommates, mm-hmm. Bernard, he would joke. He would be like, yo, Will, I'm more Chinese than you. Yeah. Because he couldn't play basketball. Uh-huh. He was really good at math.
Yeah.
He spoke Chinese,
and,
no,
he didn't speak Chinese. No. But we're so interconnected, and for whatever reason, I feel like there's a force trying to divide us.
Of course, I mean, there's
and
always
make us fight against one another.
But racism is a social construct, you know,
Absolutely.
that is utilized to divide people and pit people against each other. So the people who, like, whoever does this, right, they're trying to maintain power. You know, it's just a simple divide and conquer. You know, you have people, like, if people's bandwidth is just fighting amongst themselves, then
they have no room to grow.
They have no room to grow. They have no room to fight the real fight.
Right.
You know, and bring power back to
and they're just hurting each other.
Yeah.
So let them go at it.
Yeah.
And
let them waste their time.
It's just a distraction.
It's a big distraction, you know? And, you know, and the fortunate thing about, like, the pandemic is that, you know, it got people to be inside, be, like, you know, absorb more, see, like, what's going on. And that's a big reason why we have a lot of the protests, is because people are, like, have been absorbing, waking up a little bit, and just are fed up, you know? So historically, we fought along side by side together. Black Americans fought, like, for the Immigration Act that allowed many people to come in. You know, it opened up the immigration for many Asian people, right? But just along the lines, throughout the past few generations, decades, you know, the lines of communications between both communities have been lost.
Yeah.
You know, leading to a lot of ignorance of each other.
Right.
And also these things were also not taught in schools. So we're here, we don't also know about what's going on.
Right.
You know, we don't know our history. We don't know our past. We don't, like, our history of unity and coming together is not taught. We're taught about our white saviors, the white heroes, you know, who've done so much for slavery and this and that, you know, but we're not taught.
The Last Samurai starting Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
Let's go further back. Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
You know, so these are the stories that are ingrained. And when we have our kids that go to school, this is how white supremacy is taught, you know, indoctrinated into people, you know, so, and the immigrants that come, they don't know the history.
Right.
You know, and they don't have an understanding of what's going on. You know, so they come and their ground zero is the moment they landed. Right. You know, not like what happened in the past. Right. And also, it's not, like, encouraged or talked about. So I saw there was a Asian for Black Lives Matter, like they did one event in LA, right? And I'm like, yo, I need to do something right now. You know, I need to get us together, you know, and make a stand, because, you know, we can say, oh, they didn't support us, we won't support them, and they never supported us, and, like, we just build this vicious cycle, you know. So I wanted to, like, okay, we need to make a stand now, right, and show love and support, you know, and build this virtuous cycle of support. Like, we came out so that when we have our issues again, we can, like, lean on the bridges and the alliances and the partnerships that we had built throughout, like, supporting each other.
So I guess that's where you came from a position of, you know what, F all that. I want, you know, F all that noise. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
They're trying to divide us. They're moving from a place of, they want us to move from a place of hate and judgment and saying, well, no, you know how I feel now, or you're the one that's always beating me up and picking on me. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to speak out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak out for us as Asians, and I'm going to speak out for them as Blacks, because I see what's going on here, and I think we're much more powerful together. And actually, we have a lot more common than we actually think. I actually think we want the same things.
We do want the same things. We do want many of the same things. We're just taught to and been conditioned to hate each other, essentially. You know, be ignorant of each other. And, you know, it just had to start somewhere. You know, I couldn't wait for, okay, our next thing and then try to build bridges. It's like, this is what's going on now. There is a huge civil rights movement going on right now.
Yeah.
And what are we doing as a community to step up to the plate?
And here's what trips me out, that we don't have more Asian American voices that are celebrities in front of the camera already, that's already solidified their position. Speak up about this.
Yeah.
I want to know I want to know, and they don't have to. It's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
I get it if that's not their grind. But I also want to know if I'm going to support you, I want to know where you stand on this.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
Yeah.